nation's capital.
Hey, Hannity. Awesome show tonight, as always.
Thank you.
And by the way, the villain of the day, I just never want to make that. Okay, so whatever I do to tease you, you can never.
Oh, wait a minute. You know something?
Me.
What a great idea. Thank you. Tomorrow's villain of the day may be Laura Ingraham.
No, then I have to do something to deserve it. Hannity, great show tonight.
All right, have a great show.
All right, I'm Laura Ingraham, and this is the Ingraham Angle on a very busy Ash Wednesday in Washington. So don't tweet about this. All right, DHS Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen sounding the alarm on the border crisis, but the Democrats will have none of it. Or maybe they're just too overwhelmed by the radical chic in their own party. They seem to have an anti-Semitism problem. And R. Kelly speaks out in an explosive new interview. I just watched it on the way over to the studio, claiming he's not the victim. Well, he is the victim, not the women accusing him of sexual abuse. Dr. Drew Pinsky will analyze. Plus, Raymond Arroyo on why Will Smith isn't black enough for a new role and what a new focus group will tell us about the future of the Democratic Party. But first, the Dems' big border lie. That's the focus of tonight's angle. Today, Homeland Security Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen went up to Capitol Hill to share a little dose of something called reality with Congress.
We face a crisis, a real, serious, and sustained crisis at our borders. We have tens of thousands of illegal aliens arriving at our doorstep every month. We have drugs, criminals, and violence spilling into our country every week. Illegal immigration is simply spiraling out of control.
Now let's break it down to the cold, hard facts. In the month of February, 76,000 illegal aliens were apprehended at the border. That's just the ones apprehended. A 30% increase from the previous month apprehensions. And from the year before, it's even worse.
This is an 80% increase over the same time last year. And I can report today that CBP is forecasting the problem will get even worse this spring as the weather warms up.
Could be getting worse? Well, we could be looking, yes, at nearly 1 million illegals crossing our borders if the trends continue. If these numbers hold, every 4 months, we'll import the equivalent of the population of Richmond, Virginia, or Baton Rouge, Louisiana, into the United States. And this isn't a national emergency? Let's face it, most Democrats know this is a crisis. The sheer volume of crossers is overwhelming our facilities. And liberals then blame Trump when a migrant doesn't see a doctor immediately? As with their embrace of infanticide and reparations, Medicare for all, Democrats have gone far, far left on immigration. And now they are, in effect, for open borders.
There are other options, ankle bracelets. There are other options to incarcerating and holding everybody by the thousands. There were programs that will enable people to go into our communities and to be able to be tracked in our communities.
Well, she wants low jacks on everyone? What is that? Be tracked in our communities. They already put ankle bracelets on a lot of the illegal immigrants, and they just tear them off. Terrifying that she doesn't understand the basic facts of immigration. And while we're creating these grand new plans to hold illegal immigrants accountable and track them, let's not forget who's footing the bill here. Guess what the cost is? $82,000 per year per illegal immigrant in the United States. And then, of course, the children they have, and then the children are citizens, and then no one's deported. Democrats prefer to focus, though, on non-citizens. Their treatment, their medical care, and of course their race.
You wanted to separate children and families, and you wanted to do it with compassion? You have no feeling, no compassion, no empathy here.
White babies would not be treated the way these babies of color are being treated, Madam Secretary. This is about color. We've opened our doors. You're tired, you're poor. Huddled masses yearning to breathe free. Except we now have our quota of people of color.
It gets very dramatic when you whisper. Now, the Democrats can't play chords. They stick to one, maybe two notes, and they're always off key.
For the record, Madam Secretary, are we still using cages for children?
Sir, we don't use cages for children. In the border facilities that you've been to, they were not made to detain children. To my knowledge, CBP never purposely put a child in a cage if you need a cage like this.
Purposely or whatever, are we putting children in cages as of today?
Children are processed at the border facility stations that you've been at. Some of them.
And I've seen the cages. I just want you to admit that the cages exist.
Sir, they're not cages.
Well, you know what that is? See it up on the screen? Right there. That's a so-called cage that the congressman was referring to. But that, well, those, kind of a fencing thing, it's an enclosure for sure, was used by the Obama administration to detain illegal minors during their processing until they could be placed with sponsors. Now, where was the Democrat outrage when Obama was using the same fencing facilities that liberal do-gooders now deplore and make a big deal about at a hearing to get on shows like this? Well, instead of focusing on the surge at the border and the lack of facilities to house the people crossing the border, Democrats are throwing sand and throwing down the race card. It's about all they know these days. When the CBP Commissioner Kevin McAllion testified to the Senate Judiciary Committee that walls and barriers in key hotspots along the border had an immediate impact in reducing the crossings, Senator Dick Blumenthal, he didn't want to hear any of it.
Numbers of border crossings are still at a historic low compared to other times in our nation's history.
No, Senator, they're not. We're on pace for over 700,000 crossings this year. That's closer to historic highs than historic lows.
The commissioner is 100% right. Over 60% of the total apprehensions along the border are now illegal family units and unaccompanied alien minors, those under the age of 18. And new DHS figures find that those apprehensions of illegal family units have surged by 338%. But no emergency here, no crisis. And the apprehensions of unaccompanied children are up 54%. That's not dangerous for them, right? No emergency, no crisis. How about this?
Because of the increase in violence at ICE, when we have families with children, we have to give every girl a pregnancy test over 10. This is not a safe journey.
Girls are being abused, raped, and in some cases trafficked as part of these caravans, and it is despicable what is happening to these young people. Congress needs to get its head out of the sand and stop this madness once and for all. If someone crosses the border illegally, with rare exception, they should be turned back immediately. Family units or people posing as family units would not make this dangerous trek once word spread in their home country. Congress should pass this law. If you want to apply for asylum, that's fine. But you should do so in the safety of your home country. Or, as is beginning to happen now, once you're in the United States and you declare, you should be sent to Mexico until your case comes up for hearing. We have a backlog right now of 800,000 immigration cases. The current system today, it's obvious. Come on, everybody knows this. Democrats know this. It incentivizes human trafficking, the abuse of kids, and more illegal crossings, period. That's why you have the big jump. Any Democrat or any Republican who refuses to act now are the ones who are truly lacking in the feeling and the compassion and the empathy, not only for the illegal immigrants, but for the American people they're supposed to be representing. And that's the angle. The House Democrats aren't doing anything about the crush at the border. They're too busy grappling with the growing radicalism within their own ranks. And now House Democrats are focused on watering down a resolution condemning anti-Semitism and not even mentioning Congresswoman Ilhan Omar by name when she is the one this all should be really all about. Fox's Peter Doocy caught up with her, or at least tried to, earlier today.
Congresswoman Omar, it seems like there's some confusion among your colleagues. Are you anti-Semitic? Congressman, that's my only question. Just would you support the resolution condemning anti-Semitism and other forms of bigotry?
She's pretty chatty on Twitter, but suddenly cat's got her tongue. Well, those are some pretty easy questions to answer, Congresswoman Omar. So what are you afraid of? Joining me now with reaction, Congressman Sean Duffy. Congressman, this anti-Semitic problem, we're going to get to the border issue in a second because this is a full-blown crisis at the southern border. Have you addressed this anti-Semitic problem within the Democrat ranks, within your caucus, and what's happening with Nancy Pelosi? She's caught here.
Well, she's losing control. So first off, you have to realize that Nancy Pelosi recognizes they have an anti-Semitic problem within the Democrat Party. So she says, I'm going to bring out a resolution to show that we are not anti-Semitic. And there's complete pandemonium inside of the Democrat caucus today, and they have to actually poll the resolution to say we're not anti-Semitic.
You can't even have a resolution condemning anti-Semitism because was it the Troika, or was Presley, Omar, and Tlaib, and AOC, right? Those four standing together, basically?
And they basically said, listen, why don't we say we're not anti all kinds of things, all kinds of isms? And so it just shows how radical the Democrat Party has become. And some of the leaders of the party, you know this, are good friends of Louis Farrakhan, who said, I'm not an anti-Semite, I'm anti-termite. I mean, this is the viewpoint of this party that is completely off the rails. And I think it's not. I would say it's funny, but it's not funny. I mean, this is a real problem that we have in history and today in this party. And I think, you know what, Nancy Pelosi, if she had a backbone, she'd bring the resolution up and call these folks out and go, let's have a vote and let's see where you stand about anti-Semitism.
But from the reporting about this meeting, that was a closed-door meeting, there were loud voices, and there was, I mean, basically it sounds like they were shouting, and a big argument about this because the freshmen, the newcomers, and Hakeem Jeffries, a few others, feel like this is like a targeting a Muslim woman. So this is all these congressmen and congresswomen targeting a Muslim woman because she criticizes AIPAC or because she doesn't like everything Israel does. Is that what this is?
Well, that's what they're trying to make it into. But the deal is, this was a conversation about, do we want to condemn anti-Semitism and anti-Semitism within the Democrat Party? And you saw a real pushback because I think there's a lot of Democrats inside that Democrat caucus who didn't want to take a vote on that resolution, which really exposes the true feelings of Democrats in the radical wing of the Democrat Party and what they view, how they see Israel, how they see the Jewish community.
Pelosi's freaking out, though. She can't lose the excitement and the energy of this new incoming freshman. We're going to get into this new focus group that was done, which shows us a lot about where the power, I mean, what the energy is. Turning out people to vote. So they're worried about turning those people off, are they not? But she's worried about that.
She is.
Pelosi is.
But she is. But the problem is, you have to win the middle of America to win elections. And most Americans condemn anti-Semitism. And so the fact that you're going to put a resolution out and you actually have to pull it, again,
it was announced. It was going to come. It was going to be voted on tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Or today.
Yeah, it was going to be tomorrow.
Or tomorrow, I guess. Finally.
And until the food fight happened.
All right, I want to move on to what's happening on this immigration issue. Fox viewers are very, very focused on this. I think Americans, when they really understand the sheer volume of border crossers, there's like, how is this happening?
Right.
I mean, entire cities of like Richmond, that population is being brought into the United States, allowed into the United States every 3 or 4 months.
So I live in Wausau, Wisconsin, 40,000 people in Wausau. So 2 Wausau, Wisconsins a month
76,000
illegally
last month.
into America. And what I in the hearing, in the clips that you played, I find it fascinating that Democrats are trying to say, we don't want to put kids in cages, and this is a racist play by the administration.
Here.
But the bottom line is, I thought what Nielsen said was really important, that they're giving pregnancy tests to girls as young as 10 years old because they know that women who come, young girls who come on that dangerous journey, they're raped, they're sexually assaulted, and they have to get pregnancy tests. If you care about kids, set up a policy that doesn't incentivize
people,
the cartels and the parents to bring kids on that dangerous journey where they're sexually assaulted. If you care about kids, don't bring them.
They're making a huge mistake with what they're doing because they know it's a. Do you not agree with me? They know this is a crisis. They know it's a crisis.
Listen, absolutely. Can I tell you what also gets me? They say we don't want barriers, we don't want walls, we want boots and technology. So we have a new Wisconsin governor, Tony Evers. We send Scott Walker, our former governor, sent our troops to the southern border to give more support, more boots on the ground. Tony Evers pulls our boots off the ground. So he won't build barriers and won't send the boots and the technology as a radical liberal governor of Wisconsin. That's how extreme these people
Democrats are open borders, yes or no?
Open borders, absolutely.
They have to be. I mean, their responses were ludicrous. I mean, Obama has these fencing things to hold people for processing. What do they want? Kids to be thrown out on the street when they come here? What are you supposed to do? They're trying to find sponsors, kids, and place them in sponsor homes. And what do? You have to. I don't know what else else you could possibly do. Obama found that dilemma, and they didn't have any problem with it.
And it's temporary. They have no complaint about Obama, but all of a sudden Trump uses the same facilities, and they go after the poor
No, but this
guy.
is all they have, race in that.
That's why we're winning suburban women. They want border security. They want safety. And they know that Democrats
safety
are
for
wrong
Americans and safety for these kids who are being brought on this journey. Thank you, Congressman. Thanks so much. And back to the controversy surrounding Congresswoman Omar and her questionable anti-Semitic remarks. Here she is just last week saying Jews can't be trusted because they have a split allegiance with Israel.
I want to talk about the political influence in this country that says it is okay for people to push for allegiance to a foreign country.
Joining me now is Brooke Goldstein, a human rights lawyer and founder and executive director of the Lawfare Project, and Osama Siblani, a publisher of the Arab American News. Osama, how is that comment not anti-Semitic? The classic dual loyalty trope. How do you defend that?
Do you know how many times I've heard, and my community have heard, of dual loyalty here in our community, that Muslims cannot be trusted? How many times we've been called, go back to where you came from, to your homeland? No one said that this is anti-Muslim. No one stood for our rights. No one said that this should not be said in America.
Okay,
We've heard it.
Osama, you're saying that, or you're equating what Omar said, a sitting member of Congress, with some nut on the internet or something someone said who's people offend people all the time.
It's a member
and say
of
terrible things all the time, and that should be condemned. And you're right about
They are not nuts on the internet. They are nuts in the Congress. They are members of the Republican Party. They are very, very close in their ideology to the Nazis. That's what they are. I mean, let's not just shove this under the carpet.
So we've established that because there is anti-Muslim bias, which I have no doubt there is.
And there is an anti-Jewish bias too.
Let me say, I just want to understand where you're coming from. I really do. So you're saying because there's anti-Muslim bias, that what Omar is saying about Jewish dual loyalty should get a pass? Is that it?
No, I don't think that should, but we should start the debate. There should be a debate. We should not stifle the debate in America. We should talk about, like we talk about the Saudis, we talk about the Iranians. No one says that this is anti-Muslim.
Yeah.
They are a Muslim nation. So when we talk about Israel, we should not be equating this to Judaism. Judaism has nothing to do with Israel. Israel is occupying Palestinian land and Palestinian people, and we should be talking and debating about what is Israel doing to the Palestinian people.
And let's Brooke get a chance to speak. Look, if that's what the debate is, that's a legitimate debate to have, and I think we have those debates a lot, especially on college campuses, because I've been to some of them, about what the role in the peace process should be, who stole what from whom. Okay, that's fine. I have a problem with the analogies of the Jews and money, and the Jews want the money, and it's all about the Benjamins, baby, which is
I don't think
that
this is what she said. I don't think that this is what she said. Her words are being
give
twisted.
It a rest, okay? Give it a rest, because Brooke didn't interrupt you, so just let her speak, and then you can speak, okay? So, Brooke, I have a problem with how this is going down, because it is stereotypical, and I don't think we should be engaged as much as possible in stereotyping.
Right, and I think we all have to step back and take a look at the big picture here. The level of anti-Semitism that's being tolerated by the Democratic Party right now, I think, has risen to a level of a national emergency. We have a Foreign Relations Committee, which is responsible for defining and executing and shaping U.S. foreign policy. We have someone sitting on that committee who is a racist whose views are more aligned with Islamic Jihad than they are with the U.S. Constitution. We have Democratic members of government who are campaigning with people like Linda Sarsour, who is connected to the Palestinian Front for the Liberation of Palestine, a designated terrorist group. And now we have a Democratic Party that's been hijacked to the extent that it cannot even pass a resolution condemning anti-Semitism without being forced to water it down and make it meaningless. Could you imagine if they wanted to pass a resolution condemning racism against African Americans, and the Democrats said, we're not going to pass that unless the same resolution talks about crimes that blacks commit against whites?
Right. But to Osama's point, can this reach a point where you're stifling debate? I think that's what some are concerned about.
What people are doing
you don't want to
right
stifle
now,
debate. You want to have an actual debate on points and issues, correct?
Well, actually what's happening in here is the Republicans are using this.
Policy is not an excuse to turn around and accuse Jews of dual loyalty. Very often, this
That's not what she said. That's not what she said.
Where I'm just criticizing Israel.
You are
what she said. She's
you are
tweeted
putting
things
words
like,
in her
for
mouth.
example,
That's not what Ilhan said.
Awaken everyone to the evils of the Jewish state. That's something you hear in a sermon.
That's not what Ilhan said. You know, you guys should stop putting words in her mouth.
Government talk in the United States.
Yeah. Osama, when she made the initial statement about it's all about the Benjamins, and she put the little emoji.
Yeah, but that's not what she said. She did not say that Jews have dual loyalty. She did not say that.
Okay.
She said some members in the Congress.
She did.
Some members in the Congress, they have dual loyalty. Yes, they do.
Where is her loyalty?
There are people in the Congress, they have loyalty towards Israel. Can I make a statement in here?
Is that what her loyalty is?
Can I make a statement here that the Republican Party is using anti-Semitism in order to blackmail the Democrats? And that should not happen. You should not allow it. Republicans should not be using anti-Semitism in order to stifle the debate or to blackmail the Democratic Party.
Nancy Pelosi condemned it's all about the Benjamin's baby comment, okay?
Nancy Pelosi is a pro-Israel Congresswoman.
Is she? Oh, so she's part of the conspiracy, the Jewish conspiracy. Is that what you're? Sounds like you're heading toward the same territory that.
I don't believe that there is a Jewish conspiracy. I believe that there is a pro-Israeli conspiracy.
Okay, well,
the pro-Israel elements in our society are trying to silence the debate.
All right, we got to continue this. I appreciate you guys both coming on. Coming up, by the way, this singer R. Kelly, this explosive new interview that just came out. He's another victim. Everybody's a victim here. Dr. Drew Pinsky joins me next exclusively. Stay there. Singer R. Kelly is speaking out for the first time since being arrested and charged on 10 counts of felony aggravated sexual abuse of young girls. He's been accused of everything from child pornography to running a sex cult over the past 25 years. But Kelly maintains his innocence and that he's the real victim.
I didn't do this stuff. This is not me, y'all. I'm fighting for my life. Y'all killing me with this. I gave y'all 30 years of my career.
Robert.
30 years of my career. Y'all trying to kill me. You're killing me, man. Y'all just don't want to believe the truth. You don't want to believe it.
Joining me now exclusively is an old friend, Drew Pinsky, an addiction specialist and doctor to the stars. Dr. Drew, what do you make of that interview? He's obviously extremely emotional, explosive, and I was worried about Gayle King for a moment there.
Yeah, I'm, it's good to see you, Laura, by the way. And I got to tell you, this is a lot of celebrities have been scrutinized lately, and this is the first time I've been frightened for him. For somebody. I'm fearful this guy could hurt himself. I mean, his back is against the wall. He's financially in very serious trouble. He couldn't afford his bail. He couldn't afford child support. So today he was arrested on this. He can't have access to his children. He's being accused of very serious crimes. He is in big trouble, and he is in desperate straits. So I'm actually worried about this guy.
Well, does it seem to some extent, can you tell? I mean, it's difficult. It almost seems like it's like an ongoing reality show drama. The standing up, hitting your chest. I mean, it seems choreographed a little bit. I mean, if I'm not an expert, you are, but that's just a layman's.
Well, what you're looking at is you're thinking to yourself, I think he does protest too much, right? It's like, it's a little too much. It's excessive. Doesn't mean he did it. We just don't know. We can't know for sure. I mean, look, we're looking at a lot of celebrities' life with a new lens. I feel like we've all woken up from the slumber of the 70s when anything goes. I mean, look at some of the lyrics from music from that era. They're talking about 14-year-olds half the time. All of a sudden, we've begun to scrutinize these people that we have idolized merely because of their music or their appearance on television or movies, and it has been seductive and it is ridiculous. We're looking at things very realistically now. Go ahead.
Yeah, he talked about what the parents of the girls, the alleged victims, their role in all of this. Let's watch.
Azrael Clary, what is your relationship with her?
Right now, I'm seeing her.
You were seeing her?
Yeah, she's 21. I'm seeing her.
She's 21.
Yeah.
But did you start seeing her at 17?
Absolutely not.
Did you have sex with her when she was 17?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Although her parents wanted me to.
Again, Dr. Drew, I mean, could that happen? I guess it could if parents.
Well, you must not have seen the
Michael.
You must not have seen the Michael Jackson Leaving Neverland documentary, where whether or not those allegations are true or not, you see how for somebody to be seduced, to seduce a young person, you have to seduce the entire family. And fame, we elevate people with fame to such a degree we are easily seduced by it. And it's possible. I don't know. We just don't know what has actually gone on. One of the things he did say, a couple things that jumped out at me about his interview that I thought were very interesting. One is he compartmentalized a lot. He talked about R. Kelly versus Robert. And my understanding is he had some very serious trauma himself. And that's how people who are traumatized think. They compartmentalize the self and their emotions. And that's sometimes how they carry out things that are not good. This compartmentalized piece of themselves is disavowed. That's not really me. I'm really Robert. And they can do some awful stuff and be a good person at the same time. That's one thing that jumped out at me in this particular interview, that there seemed to be a good deal of compartmentalization. The other thing is something that I see celebrities do all the time, which is the name they use out in the world, the R. Kelly again versus Robert, is not just compartmentalization. The thing you know of as the celebrity, they distance themselves from, as though, well, that's just a cartoon character. So when people criticize that celebrity, R. Kelly, it really doesn't get through to me, Robert.
Dr. Drew, I also want to get your thoughts on another big star. You mentioned the issue with Michael Jackson. And HBO is out with this new documentary about MJ called Leaving Neverland. And it details years a superstar allegedly abused 2 young boys. Let's watch.
There's no thoughts of this is wrong or anything like that.
He told me if they ever found out what we were doing, he and I would go to jail for the rest of our lives.
Dr. Drew, why is this coming out now? I mean, he did it. It was on trial. He won. He has settlements. He's dead. What's going on here?
Well, we don't know with these guys. We don't know whether the allegations are true or not. But I will tell you, the documentary shows, again, the grooming process precisely at how it happens. If you saw Oprah's interview after the Leaving Neverland second part, she she talks about that. How this is really an important thing for people to understand, that it's something that people are drawn into. It's not painful and it's not an attack. It's a grooming process. And by the same token, because they loved that as a celebrity, they loved Michael Jackson, they wanted to protect him, they had all these ambivalent feelings that when they really woke up to what he had been doing to them, there was a flood of emotions, and then there was a desire to talk about it. So the theory here, if these allegations are true, is they finally got enough distance. And in fact, in both men's case, it was the fact that they had children that they started to look at the child and go, oh my God, somebody did something to me when I was young. This is unbelievable. And that's where the emotional flood broke through. And somebody chose to tell the story, whether it's true or not.
Yeah, again, but he's obviously not around to defend himself. None of us knows if it's true or false, but that's the difficulty with doing it.
Laura, I just think we're waking up from a slumber. I really do. I really believe that we are waking up from a slumber from the 70s. I've been saying this all the years I was on Level Line. I kept saying there is horrible things going on, and we are accepting it. And when you look at the pictures of Michael Jackson and now running around with the kids, you go, oh my God, how do we all were groomed into sort of accepting that. We have been through a period of history where a lot of things were acceptable that were not acceptable. And
I think a lot of things are still acceptable to a lot. I disagree with you. I think there's a lot of stuff that is pushing the envelope in Family Hour TV. That's all out the window. I mean, I agree. I don't know. I mean, maybe on some of this stuff, but I think the envelope is pushed. I mean, watch some of the award shows, the way people.
You are correct, but I don't disagree with you at all. But there's stuff we are waking up to as though we've been in some kind of weird slumber. Just look at the lyrics of songs from the 70s sometime, and think about what some of these rock stars were doing doing with young children. And people are like, oh, they're rock stars. What are you supposed to do? Well, we're waking up.
Well, Michael Jackson actually responded to some of these allegations in an interview on 60 Minutes back in 2009 with Ed Bradley. Let's watch.
If I would hurt a child, I would slit my wrists. I would never hurt a child.
Do you still think that it's acceptable to share your bed with children?
Of course. Of course. Why not?
He went on to say, as long as it's, platonic, and that was from 2003, by the way.
No. Nothing okay about it. I don't care who the 30-year-old man is. No. I don't care who he is. I don't care if half his one half of his brain tissue is gone. No. That is not okay. Listen, if you watch the documentary, the kids talk about how they would go to toy stores and load baskets full of toys and run out. You would not let that happen as a parent. That's not your job. Is to teach kids how to get effectively into the world. And guess what? The world can be a very frustrating place. You don't get what you want all the time. Just going to the toy stores have me jumping out of my skin.
Where were the parents? That's the same question. Where were the parents? I mean, everybody's seduced by the fame. Dr. Drew, it's great to see you. It's great to have you on tonight. All right,
thank you.
So much.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
All right, up next, Will Smith facing backlash for, get this, not being black enough for a new role. And wait until you see how a CNN panel reacted to a new Democrat star. Raymond Arroyo breaks it all down in this week's Seen and Unseen. Next. Of the day. Well, Will Smith is under fire for not being black enough for Hollywood, and CNN features a Democratic star. Joining us now with all the details, Raymond Arroyo, Fox News contributor, New York Times bestselling author of the brand new book, Will Wilder and the Amulet of Power. Congrats on that, Raymond. What is happening with Will Smith?
Well, Will Smith, this might be, we should have called this segment Heard and Unheard, because I've got a little voice. This is what happens when you ride too hard in the floats with Ingram.
Okay.
Anyway,
Mardi Gras
Will Smith can't get a break where color is concerned, Laura. A few weeks ago, social media exploded over his role in Aladdin. Watch.
You really don't know who I am. Genie, wishes, lamb, none of that ringing a bell.
They said he was too blue. Now, too blue. Now Smith has been cast to play Richard Williams, the father of Serena and Venus Williams, in a new biopic called King Richard. Now even prominent figures are taking to Twitter claiming Will Smith is not black enough to play the role. What? Clarence Hill wrote, "Colorism matters. What? Love Will Smith, but there are other black actors for this role. George M. Johnson, just like Chadwick shouldn't have played Thurgood Marshall, Will should not play Richard. Skin color matters in how folks are treated and navigated spaces." Is Alexandria Shipp playing Venus? Now, Laura, I have a huge problem with this. It's constricting creative freedom and expression of artists, actors. They should be up in arms over this. In fact, I'm going to put up a picture of Will Smith. This is he and Dr. Bennett Amalu. This is a doctor he played in the movie Concussion.
Which is a great
You'll
movie.
see Smith is much lighter than Dr. Amalu. Who cares? And by the way, Amalu loved Smith's performance. Chadwick Boseman played Jackie Robinson. Notice anything different?
No, maybe.
As you can see, he's actually a little darker than Jackie Robinson. Who cares? But we're focusing on this, and the new rule is you cannot play a race not your own as an actor. That's horrible. When you've got Ben Kingsley winning Academy Awards for Gandhi, Laurence Olivier playing Othello in a career-defining role, we should be open to actors' ingenuity and creativity and not closing the doors on anybody. Black, white, light, dark, it doesn't matter.
I loved Hamilton. I mean,
right.
I mean, Lin-Manuel, I loved it.
Right.
I mean,
and Lin-Manuel would not have been able to play that role because he's too dark for the role, right?
Or too white for the or dark white. I mean, but I don't know. You keep going down this road, it's going to be.
We should be judged by the quality of our performances, not by the color of our skin.
All right, and CNN this week convened a panel of voters who had voted for Hillary Clinton. Now, when they were asked about Democratic upstart AOC, the panel went wild.
She's a badass.
Oh my God!
Yay!
I love
her.
Wow, what a woman! Amazing.
She's the candidate of the future.
Got the Democratic Party nervous. She really kind of personifies, where we expected things to go.
where we expect things to go.
Laura, whatever Mrs. Cortez's social media skills, these voters are captivated by her image. One of them called her smart and intelligent. Listen to this.
And if we work our butts off to make sure that we take back all three chambers of Congress, all three chambers of government, the presidency, the Senate, and the House.
Well,
the presidency, the Senate, and the House. I think she meant the Congress and the judiciary.
Oh, the chambers of government.
Yeah.
Branches, chambers. That's a formality.
Who's paying attention?
No, that's a formality.
They're wrapped up in her social media presence.
But what does that tell you about branding?
It's everything now. It's everything.
Branding.
Even in politics.
That's why you always say Republicans are woefully bad at storytelling.
They
Even
are.
on the border issue today, Kirstjen Nielsen has these dramatic numbers at the border, and she's presenting the facts, but the way you present them is also important. Yes.
Yes, it did.
Might have choreographed. It might have kind of set that up.
Okay,
produced
well,
that a little.
as you can tell from our ashes, and you look like you did a drive-by.
The priest did a drive-by on me.
And I got
He's like, get out of here.
I got the pastor's revenge. This is the biggest sinner in the room.
He really pressed down on you.
Today's Lent, people are giving up different things. Some churches are suggesting people give up plastic bags. Now, I don't know why that would be. This is about subduing the flesh and conforming your will to God's. I don't know how giving up a plastic bag is going to get you there.
I'm against plastic. You know, I go to the beach and I pick up plastic. I'm like one of those crazy old people.
Are you against floss? Do you floss
I'm not.
your teeth?
Yes, I do. I do like floss.
No, that's plastic.
That is part of plastic. But there's too much plastic. But it's not. It's supposed to. The priest today at Mass said, it's not about you. It's not about you. True. I'm giving up. It's about your relationship with God.
Right. And what he sees.
And what you do after Lent.
So I'm not going to tell you what I'm giving up.
What are you giving up?
I'm giving up watching those R. Kelly interviews. Is this my camera? Is that my camera? Do I look stupid? Do I look stupid?
Yes. Okay. No, they're gonna. So you got to beat your chest. No, they'll fall over and they'll blame me for pushing you over.
Gayle King. She got Lent early.
Gayle King handled that really well, though.
Really
She's a total pro.
Sit down, Robert. Sit down, Robert.
All right, Raymond. Thanks so much. All right, and stay there because Hillary Clinton gets fact-checked on her racist allegations, the culture of victimology, and the socialism rising. Yes, a very special guest for of the day. Well, Will Smith is under fire for not being black enough for Hollywood, and CNN features a Democratic star. Joining us now with all the details, Raymond Arroyo, Fox News contributor, New York Times bestselling author of the brand new book, Will Wilder and the Amulet of Power. Yes. Congrats on that, Raymond. What is happening with Will Smith?
Well, Will Smith, this might be, we should have called this segment Heard and Unheard because I've got a little voice. This is what happens when you ride too hard in the floats with Ingraham. Okay. Anyway, Will Smith can't get a break where color is concerned, Laura. A few weeks ago, social media exploded over his role in Aladdin. Watch.
You really don't know who I am. Genie, wishes, lamb, none of that ringing a bell.
They said he was too blue. Now, too blue. Now Smith has been cast to play Richard Williams, the father of Serena and Venus Williams, in a new biopic called King Richard. Now even prominent figures are taking to Twitter claiming Will Smith is not black enough to play the role. Clarence Hill wrote, "Colorism matters. Love Will Smith, but there are other black actors for this role. George M. Johnson, just like Chadwick, shouldn't have played Thurgood Marshall. Will should not play Richard. Skin color matters in how folks are treated and navigated spaces." Is Alexandria Shipp playing Venus? Now, Laura, I have a huge problem with this. It's constricting creative freedom and expression of artists, actors. They should be up in arms over this. In fact, I'm going to put up a picture of Will Smith. This is he and Dr. Bennett Amalu. This is a doctor he played in the movie Concussion.
This is a great
You'll
movie.
see Smith is much lighter than Dr. Amalu. Who cares? And by the way, Amalu loved Smith's performance. Chadwick Boseman played Jackie Robinson. Notice anything different?
No, maybe.
As you can see, he's actually a little darker than Jackie Robinson. Who cares? But we're focusing on this, and the new rule is you cannot play a race not your own as an actor. That's horrible. When you've got Ben Kingsley winning Academy Awards for Gandhi, Laurence Olivier playing Othello in a career-defining role, We should be open to actors' ingenuity and creativity and not closing the doors on anybody. Black, white, light, dark, it doesn't matter.
I loved Hamilton. I mean,
right.
I mean, Lin-Manuel, I loved it.
Right.
I mean,
and Lin-Manuel would not have been able to play that role because he's too dark for the role, right?
Or too white for the or dark white. I mean, but I don't know. You keep going down this road, it's going to be.
We should be judged by the quality of our performances, not by the color of our skin.
All right, and CNN this week convened a panel of voters who had voted for Hillary Clinton. Now, when they were asked about Democratic upstart AOC, the panel went wild.
She's badass.
Man, oh my gosh.
Yay! I love her.
Wow. What a woman. Amazing.
She's the candidate of the future.
Got the Democratic Party nervous. She really kind of personifies, where we expected things to go.
Where we expect things to go.
Laura, whatever Mrs. Cortez's social media skills, these voters are captivated by her image. One of them called her smart and intelligent. Listen to this.
And if we work our butts off to make sure that we take back all three